If you knew that one belief eliminated from your brain could change the course of your reality, would you want that? It's not for everyone, only the brave. Those who want to own their life like the powerful leaders they were born to be. A pivotal moment can change everything. Now, here's the host of Crossroads to Awakening show, Wendy Paquette.
Hello everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome to the Crossroads to Awakening show. I'm your host, Wendy Paquette, and I am a holographic mind reprogrammer or a master mentalist. I help humans that are stuck at a crossroads awaken to their true selves and change the world from where they stand. It was 100% an experience that created this possibility for me. And what I know for certain is you get to have the same thing. So I believe as a high frequency human, my words aren't coming out the same today, how you see your life is a direct reflection of the programs that are etched into your brain and can be easily shifted when you see your truth for what it is. So let's get started. How to play 100% full out in your life. That is the episode today. And what does that mean to you and to everyone else? I mean, some people don't want to play 100% full out, and that is 100% okay. And this show won't be for you, because this show is all about what's truly possible when you are a high performing human wanting to play full out in your world. And in every nook and cranny and corner of your world, that's exactly where you get to play, because 100% doesn't mean just in one area. Your relationships might be the place where you're super successful and you could be playing 100% full out there, and there are many other places that you get to go. What about your work? Right? Your career, your dreams, your family, your friends, your home life, your finances. There's a million ways that you get to look at your life and understand that playing 100% full out means in every aspect of your life, not just one. Because when one's successful, the evidence of that is proof that you're successful. You can be successful in all of them, and perhaps you haven't just leaned in to the other areas. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to run through a little bit of a, it's like a pre-cap, right? Instead of a recap, a pre-cap. We're going to tell you where we're going to go, so you know why you're going to listen to this show and what it's going to mean to you by the end of it. So what it looks like is how to play full out in your life, what it means when you're playing full out, and how to identify that you are or you aren't, why you would want to, a rundown of a few of the things that are reasons why you'd want to, what you can look at inside of playing there so you can identify where you have a gap and how you can fill it. And how do you know that you're showing up at 100% versus 99? Because let me tell you, in school, if we got 99% on a test, we were like killing it, and it's not 100. So there's a difference. And maybe that is maybe a tactical numerical viewpoint, and there's an energetic experience between 99% and 100. And so what's showing up in your life actually look like, right? And how can you have fun while you're doing it? I mean, if you didn't know that you weren't showing up at 100% in your life and you weren't having fun, there's one indicator that you get to look at. You're not having fun, and you're trying so hard to be or do something, or maybe you're not even clear on what that actually is. And so therefore it's not at 100%. And so with that said, what does 100% even feel like? So those are some of the things we're going to run through today. So let's get started. So this is for all of you who are listening to this episode and curious why I would even pull that into place, how to play 100% full out in your life. Because where we're at in the world right now, we're in the early days of the new year of 2021. And we've lived through the 2020 pandemic and all the things that went along with it, all the things that stood beside it and created cause and change in the world, something that we created ourselves. We brought forward in order to heal, move through, and create new. And so from that space, in order to be a contribution, you get to play full out in your life. You get to be the cause and creator of what's truly possible in your life so that you can experience a different world. You know, that world that we'd all love to play in, one that has a lot of peace, possibility, joy, trust, all of those things. It doesn't start outside of us. If you're sitting back waiting for someone else to create that life so you can live it, you are not going to live it, because you're the creator of your reality. You're the creator of your life and of all your experiences, and you get to lead your life from that space. So waiting for someone else to show up and tell you what to do is like sitting in your house when only a few people in your entire city of hundreds of thousands, maybe they have the COVID virus, and you're still sitting at home because the mandate in your state or city or province says that you have to wear a mask to stay home and there's a curfew, right? We are waiting for nothing. We're waiting for our joyful life to show up for us. What can you create from a space where you're in lockdown according to maybe the authorities? You're in lockdown, but is your life in a box? Do you need to live from that space because someone said so? Or can you follow the rules and create full-on 100% possibilities from that space? Because I'm here to tell you, there's people in the world that are suffering, and we all know this. This isn't, I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know. There's people in the world suffering from the results of this pandemic and what's happening with it, and they're stuck paralyzed in their home. Paralyzed for fear of doing something wrong, for not being able to move forward, for having their life shut down on them. Maybe their work closed. Maybe it's closed forever. Who knows? Things are so different these days. Maybe they never had a fighting chance to even be joyful when they were headed towards something amazing, and suddenly the pandemic hit and now everything's shut down and they're still sitting there waiting, right? Being in a waiting, holding pattern for someone else to tell them how their life's going to go. And, if we all did that, can you imagine where we'd be in 10 years? We literally have no idea. And if you're living from the space of fear, it's not going to be good. I'll tell you that. So we get to create from where we're at, meet ourselves where we're at. Let's look at what's being created outside of the world. How can we be different, standing in our own shoes, in our own life, in our own houses, with our own families and friends? How can we be different so that we be the cause of some joy? We be the cause of possibility, and not of some joy. We be the cause of joy, of possibility, and be the creator of something new so that we can move forward from a different aspect and create a different world from where we stand. That is 100% what's possible. Doesn't mean that you're going to run out and fight all the rules in the world, because that would just be a fight. You get to create from this space of possibility, seeing something different in what's standing before us so that we can experience it differently. Let's face it, if no one sat in a space of creation and possibility, we wouldn't be experiencing anything new in the world. And this is how we would live forever, because we would stay right here. And there would be all kinds of people fighting against something, but fighting against something doesn't mean they're actually creating something new, unless they actually intend that out of their stand, out of their cause, out of what they truly believe in. Something new gets created because they said so, and they make a declaration to be that, and then they committed action it into our reality. That comes from a space of creation. So we're going to speak right into that, because it begins with us in our lives. And, it's not a small life. It's big to us. We're living in it. We're standing in our shoes. We have family and friends and things that get to occur. And we get to create that opportunity for ourselves so that we can be a shining example for those around us, whether it is our friends and family, or maybe our neighbors, or our community, or our school, or the students that are in our, are in our schools, whatever that looks like. Who do you get to be in order to be the change you want to see in the world, right? Not be the follower you want to see in the world, because if we followed everything and just waited for someone else to give us the next rule, we're not getting very far, right? We get to be the change. And so it starts at home. It starts with us. And listen, it's not difficult to be joy, because joy can be created in any moment that you decide it to be created. It could merely be standing next to your spouse, or your friend, or your family member, or your neighbor, or your child, and loving them by looking them in the face and smiling full on, knowing that we're here to live our lives fully, completely, and joyfully. And just that certainty that that's where we stand, we can create together many opportunities for possibility. So what does it mean to play full out? Well, let's lean into that, because this is a space of possibility right here on the Inspired Choices Network. There's nothing else but inspired choices. Choice is the number one thing that we get to understand in this space of playing full out 100%. 100% means doing what's uncomfortable to cause and create something possible in your world. Something that's possible. You don't know that it's possible, but you can make that declaration. And if you're not causing and creating it, then who would be? No one, right? Potentially. So you get to be that person. So let's lean into the how-tos. Before I lean into that, let's look at this. How do you know that you're not already playing full out? First thing is, are you joyful? Are you happy? Not just, satiated, okay, satisfied. No, joyful. Waking up in the morning going, wow, what do I get to create today that's going to cause and be change in my world and therefore ripple out to the rest of the world? Even if the rest of the world means your family, friends, and community. That is what makes a difference. If we all were being that, it would be like blowing, those kid bubbles where you blow through the pipe and all these bubbles come out. It would be that. And what happens, those bubbles are all connected. And sometimes they all pop and become one. Wouldn't that be amazing, right? Having all those bubbles, which we're all in right now, pop and become one, so that we all are causing and creating in our space, so that those outside of us can have a different experience as well, because we said so. That's what causes change in the world. Standing together with a cause of creating something new and joyful and a possibility for our future as one, and beginning with us. So let's go here. If you're not joyful, I make that like the benchmark to possibility. I always say neutral, but neutral is feeling joyful. Because if you're in neutral and you're feeling iffy, that's not joyful, right? You're standing in neutral to, with a joyful essence to it, so that we can lean into possibility. Because you can be joyful and crying at the same time, right? You can cry tears of joy, but you can't be joyful and angry at the same time. And you can't be joyful and infuriated at the same time, right? So, and you can be joyful and peaceful, right? And joyful and carry possibility. So there are energetic experiences that get created when you're being neutral and above, neutral with the flavor of joy, because you get to choose to go up from there. And when I mean up, there is only a visual hierarchy of what's possible with numbers, if you're looking on a frequency scale, and with feeling based on how you're feeling in the moments you're feeling it. So that's how we go through our day, with the basis of neutral and a flavor of joy, right? Because anything under that, you're in a bit of a potential breakdown. And so you get to manage that first and look at those gaps and fill those to get back to your space of neutrality. So I realize we're coming up to a break on the quarter hour, and we get to speak into the how-tos of how to create for the life of 100% playing full out. And let me just make this clear as well. Playing full out means being joyful in your life while you're creating possibilities for yourself and your surroundings, so the people in your surroundings and others, your community and outside in the world, on purpose. No one said it's easy. I certainly didn't. And it's possible, right? It's being willing to stand in that space of uncomfortable in order to create and break through to something possible and exciting. And that's what's joyful. So I believe we're going to walk into a break maybe a minute early here. And when we come back, we're going to speak into how to create and play full out 100% in your life. Because let me tell you, there's a 99%. And you may feel like it's a really high number and is very, very, very close to 100, but I'll tell you something, it is not 100. There is a difference. So Jen, let's go into our breakdown. When we come back, we'll speak into how to play full out in your life 100%. So let's think about that. Look around.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the crossroads to awakening.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Crossroads to Awakening show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Now back to the program.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. So let's stand in the space of neutrality with a flavor of joy and look at how we can play full out. And what does that mean? So we're going to start with your dreaming, your imagination. Do you actually allow yourself to imagine what's truly possible for you and play in that space of imagination of what the world could be if there were joyful experiences? I mean, can you imagine, like, really, I know it feels like such a stretch, but if we had a joyful election or a joyful political stance, joyful parties, I mean, it feels like a stretch, but it is truly possible. Anything is. If it's in your awareness and your consciousness, if it's in your thoughts, it's possible. So I'm speaking from a Canadian aspect. However, I'm highly influenced by other countries in the world, especially the United States. And I imagine a world where if there were elections that were joyful, what would that look like? Would we be leaning into, wow, who's going to create the most possibilities in this world with a global connection, a global consciousness, a global love of the planet? Wow, how amazing would that be? And play in the space of possibility so that collectively those thoughts can create into, like, from nothing into the reality. I mean, what if we played there? What if we allowed ourselves to dream? So that's one of the big things that is the actualizer in our lives of playing full out, is allowing yourself to dream from a space of no evidence in front of you, just pure possibility, right? Lean into that. We all get to lean into that. Imagine every one of the billionaires and millionaires on the planet who have their own businesses, they declared their business from an idea, right? That maybe they saw something out in the world and then they played in their imagination until they created something that was never created before, from a space of possibility, from their own imagination, and then actualized it in the world as a business where it creates money, actual money, right? They didn't create because they're replicating the exact business of their next door neighbor, because that wouldn't create anything but competition if you were doing the same. And it wouldn't have the flavor of you in it. It would have the flavor of your next door neighbor, called your business, but not actually your business because it was someone else's. So how you stand out is by utilizing that space of creativity in your imagination. And it has been said many times, and I'm sure it was Einstein who said, creativity is intelligence having fun. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Now, pulling that quote from my head, so I guess don't quote me. But that is one thing that drives me all the time, because I used to keep a high value in my intellect, or how, going to school and collecting degrees. And what I realize is that doesn't define me. What defines me is my ability to create from nothing. That's not something that I learned in school. 100% not something I learned in school. I learned myself from being in creation mode, being in possibility, being in this space where I can play with my imagination, see something that's not here on the planet right now, make the declaration that I'm going to create it from my imagination into this reality, and then being in committed action to experiencing it, right? Allowing myself to experience it. So that's one big place. I love diving into that, taking action on your desired dream, desired possibility in your head, wherever you're playing with in your imagination, taking committed action on it, despite your fears, despite your fear of what other people might think of you, what other people might say about you, whatever that looks like. You're going to create from the space of possibility because you said so, right? Despite all those things that would normally hold you down and hold you back. Then you're going to set some goals, right? You're going to set some goals based on your imagination in order to achieve the things you're after. So, you don't have to actually create a business out of nothing in order to achieve something. You can be working for someone else and be the most imaginative, creative leader doing your job at creating in support of and in contribution of and standing with the company you work for, being involved in their vision and creating from that space, because that's part of what you'd like to create. No one's saying you can't. In fact, that's why big businesses are what they are, because they have a team of people who stand in the same vision and create from the same space, from their imaginations into what's possible. And they enroll others on their team to see that vision and to actualize it, right? It's not as difficult as people make it. The only thing holding most people back is their fear, most times of success and often of failure, right? But both essentially end up with the same result, going nowhere, because your fear is greater than your ability and your willingness to have fun and play in this world while you're here. We're not here long, right? We always hear when we're younger, oh, life's a blink, do what you can. It is literally a blink when you look at the possibility of like millions of years, or billions of years in that case. The solar system has been around. We are here but a blink. And who knows what we remember once our consciousness leaves this body. We may never ever have any recollection of this experience ever again. And that isn't something that we have any facts on. So we get to play full out in this reality now. Why not? What if that's what creates the peace and possibility in our world today, right? Moving forward, because we said so. So that's the next thing. The third thing I have is be your word, right? And I'm speaking leadership terms as well. This is the space. Leadership is the space where I learned that being your word actually carries all the weight in the world. And what being your word means is not just saying things for lip service, saying things because they get to come out of your face because somebody else wants to hear them. It's making a declaration and saying something's going to happen, and then being in committed action to create that thing to happen on purpose because you said so. It's an aligned declaration that occurs because you said so, not some words you're just going to throw out into the air that have absolutely no weight, no value, and it doesn't matter who hears them, they just don't occur. Even if you're talking to yourself, well, I'm going to create this, and then you literally ignore yourself and move on to the next thing you're on, and totally negate the thing that you really wanted. Like, don't even put into action what's truly possible with your dreams and your desires, utilizing your imagination and your declaration. It seems like such a travesty. So being your word means when I say something is so, and I'm committed to something, it is happening, and I'm going to turn myself inside out, upside down. I'm going to go everywhere and be anything it takes in order to create that from a space of integrity. So imagine if you were working for someone else in their company, you're standing with them as their partner, right? Working for their company in the company's vision, creating from there and bringing all your beautiful creative ideas to the table and allowing them to be heard. What would happen? Somebody might hear you. Maybe they would actually implement some of your ideas, and the company would grow, and therefore you would be the most massive contribution to the team or the people that own that company as a partner on purpose because you're an employee of. Wow. What a beautiful space of possibility that would be to see your ideas come to life. And I mean, you could do that in any space. Imagine being with your kids and creating this space of possibility and talking with them about what's possible and asking them, like, what do you see possible here? What was your imagination? Where could you play in your imagination that you could see something else possible here, and letting them tell you all the beautiful, cool, creative things that come to their mind. And then taking that and going, wow, what if we brought that to the attention of like XYZ? Maybe it's a company that they talk into, or your company, or maybe it's them creating their own company. And suddenly their idea comes to life. Imagine what they would be thinking and feeling, the possibility, the self-confidence, the self-esteem that would come out of that human, be it your child or a student, a young one, if you're a teacher in a classroom, or even a family member. Imagine the confidence that would come from just making that mere declaration from their imagination and watching it come to life, right? In real time, in physical reality. Amazing. That's how worlds get created. That's how love and possibility and joy and positivity gets created in the world, because someone said so. And therefore, we're living it now. We are literally living the lives that we've declared in our minds. We just haven't realized that we've declared them, right? Being your word means saying something or thinking something and then actualizing it. Listen, you might be your word all day long, and the issue is you're declaring negative aspects of your life. You're declaring negative aspects. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, I'm 100% responsible for my life. I'm making these declarations in my head, which means I'm saying negative things about myself or about my life. And they're actually, I'm collecting evidence that I am right. Well, I'm here to tell you something and share something. I don't know if it's a secret to you or not, but right now it's not going to be as I deliver it to you. Everything you say will collect evidence to prove you right. I'm going to say that again. Everything you say will collect evidence to prove you right. And that is true. And you'll test it out, because you're going to go declare something, or you're going to look back and go, oh my gosh, I did say that. You're going to see that you have a choice. You may lean into all the shitty things that are going on in your world and keep making those declarations by your statements and putting your mental, physical, your heart-centered energy into it by saying it and causing yourself to believe that it's true, while all the evidence in your life is collecting to prove you right. Yeah, imagine that. Because what you get to know about that is, although that may be true, and it may feel crappy because of what you're looking at, you also have the choice and opportunity to declare something new, to create something new, to cause something new and positive to happen by saying so. And maybe you think you can't find something in your mind that you're going to say, oh, nothing in my life is working, or nothing in my life is happy. You may be thinking that, and that's fine, because you've trained yourself to consider all of those things all the time, therefore collecting the evidence to prove you right. What you get to do is look outside of you and see what's working somewhere else then. Because if it's working for them, it can work for you, right? If it's working for someone else, it can work for you. It's not from a space of judgment that you're looking at it. You're looking at it from a space of possibility. Wow, you know what? My neighbor has always been extremely successful in their business. All the time. I see them winning all the time. I see them like having fun, or maybe they're buying a new toy, like a camper. They're taking their kids camping all the time. They're actually winning. Well, what if you adopted that energy of them winning and said, well, they can win, so that means I get to too. So you know what? I see their win as my win as well, because they're creating from a space of what they want. I get to create from that space too. So I declare that my life gets to win the same way, and can start leaning into the possibilities, not from the space of I haven't collected that evidence of winning yet, so I can't have it. That's not how it works. If you're creating from the space of, well, they have that and I don't, therefore I suck. If that's the underlying energy to what you're thinking or saying, of course you're going to keep collecting evidence that you suck. You get to play in gratitude for what others are creating and excitement for what others are creating, and then adopt that possibility for yourself. Because if it's happening outside of you, it can happen for you. You just haven't decided so yet. You haven't made that declaration. So we're going to pop into another break, and I want you to ask yourself this very, very important question. what do I want to experience in my life that I've yet to experience, right? Where have I been collecting evidence that things are not working? And where do I get to look at that and go, you know what? I'm going to see it a different way, or I'm going to look at something else instead of keep looking at that and creating more evidence. I'm going to say, you know what? I haven't yet to see this exciting thing happen in my life. And so therefore, I'm going to look around me for it. It's like this. I'm going to use this example. It's really, it's kind of on the fun side. I say, oh, I really love those. Happen to love Maseratis. And so I'm like, wow, you know what? I'm not sure what color I love best, but I really totally love black Maseratis. In fact, I love black Maserati convertibles. And I'll never forget the day I was sitting in Toronto on an outside patio and one passed me by, and I heard this sound before I saw it. And I already knew that I love those cars, but then I heard the sound and it just resonated through my body like it was speaking to me. And when I noticed that it was a black convertible Maserati, I was like, yeah, that is what I want in my life, right? So I didn't at the time have one, and I didn't know how to get one. I didn't even consider any of those things, but I did know that that's what I would like. Right. So I'm just creating from like, wow, I would love to be sitting in that car and like listening to it while I'm driving and having the top down. I was imagining all those things. So I'm like, wow, you know what? I'm in Toronto and I live about 4.5, 5 hours away from here. I don't recall ever seeing any of those in my town, any, black convertible Maseratis in my town. So what do? I'm looking at them like, wow, I just love them. I love them so much. I kind of doodle the emblem and I have the thoughts of what that is in my mind. And I imagine like driving around in the car, just in my imagination. I was just having a cup of coffee by myself on an outdoor patio. I get back to my hometown and driving around, and I'm going to the grocery store, and what's driving in front of me? Black convertible Maserati. I mean, what? I never noticed it before. Wow, that is so cool. Now I'm noticing it. What happens? I start to see them everywhere. Everywhere I go. I start looking around and I'm like, whoa, what is that car? I look as I come up closer to it. I look at it. What is it? Maserati. I'm like, are you kidding me now? Everywhere I look, then I start to see different colors of Maseratis. Now I'm like, okay, what's going on here? They've always been here. They've always been here. The difference is my attention to it, right? I'm calling it in. I'm like, oh, you know what? I've been thinking about it. I was like, it was on my mind. I was playing in my imagination with those energies, with those possibilities, with those things. I didn't make any declarations about it. I was just in my imagination playing with, the senses of my living with that car. It was just out of a moment. And now, I see them everywhere and I just like, wow, maybe it's a car that's out there too much. Maybe I get to look at something else, but that's not true. What I showed myself is, where have I been looking all along? Or what have I not been looking at? Right? That brings me joy. So if that's the case, it's not only with that thing, that car, it's with everything. So what I did was I was thinking about it and playing in the space of possibility, imagination in my mind. And what did I do? I collected evidence of the truth of it. Oh, they are here. Oh, they are in my hotel. In fact, they're everywhere. Wow. What the heck? Right? So that's just one example. And I created it out of a space of nothing, just by, hearing one and seeing one drive past me while I was having a cup of coffee. So if that's possible in a very smidgen of a moment, to create that possibility, to collect evidence, what have you been creating all along for your life? And on the other side, what is now truly possible when you're aware of this? So Jen, let's go into a break now. When we come back, we're going to totally look into that. But what kind of cars do you notice? Think about that one. Possibilities everywhere, right?
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer? CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the Crossroads to Awakening. This is the Crossroads to Awakening show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Now back to the program.
Okay, welcome back. So, my intention is that you're inspired by your own possibilities, not crushed by the fact that maybe you haven't created all the things you want in your life. Maybe you're not noticing the most wonderful things, and that you may be collecting evidence of stuff that just keeps not working or not feeling good, or something that you just really don't want, but you keep focusing on, and therefore collecting more evidence of the fact of the same thing over and over. So we get to lean further into, if I'm going to play 100% full out, what do I really want? Like, what do I want to experience in my life? And what do I want out of my life that I get to look at and be honest with myself, the things that aren't working? Because one of the next things is looking at accessing your gaps, like seeing what's missing, because you might want to create, I don't know, a $1 million business. And that's awesome. And you get to create and play in that space. But if you're standing in the space of not even having an idea of a business, then you got a pretty massive gap there, right? And I'm not saying it's not possible. It's 100% possible, 100% of the time. And you get to look at what's the gap between where I'm at, what I want, and where I'm headed. What's the gap there? And what are the things that, when I embody those gaps, when I embody the ways of being, and when I'm in committed action with the things that get to occur, maybe the people I get to connect with, that I will achieve my $1 million business, whatever that is. And I speak into that for anyone who has even considered that for a second. Perhaps you haven't spent enough time considering it, right? You get to play in the space of thought so you can be in the space of creation and collect evidence, but you also get to notice the gaps. Right. So if I look back at when I noticed the Maserati when I was in Toronto, I just noticed it. And I just noticed how much I adored, like, the sound of it, the feel of it, energetic feel of that car, the name. I just was noticing stuff about it. I didn't have any declarations about it. I didn't say that I'm going to have that car. I didn't say any of those things. I just said, I really love it. Wow. I don't ever remember noticing one in our area. That was what I said. So in order to collect evidence, I was curious. I wonder if there's anybody who has those cars around. That question created the possibility for me to collect evidence. So imagine you're creating a business. Let's lean into, maybe you're creating a business and you want to generate $1 million business or $1 million possibility. There's no thing on the planet that says you cannot, except for you. So if you're going to collect evidence, wouldn't you like the evidence of the possibility that, yes, you are going to create it? And now look at the gaps to cause and create all the things you require in order to actualize it. Yes, of course you would. Why wouldn't you? I mean, if that's really what you wanted, that's exactly where you get to go. And in creating that, then you're going to start attracting and seeing and collecting evidence to get you there, right? You're going to start meeting people who maybe they're already doing that. Now you get to make friends and see their way of being and how they show up in the world. Collect evidence of the things that you want to be and create in the world, not the things you don't want. And yes, I'm not even beginning to pretend that life doesn't happen, because it does, right? There's health issues, there's all kinds of stuff happening in the world, and we're still in ownership of what occurs with ourselves, right? If we're creating illness in our bodies, it's coming from our thoughts, our minds, the belief systems that live there. And that is something that you can dive into. If that is true and you knew that you were creating an illness in your body, wouldn't you want to know that? Because if you're creating an illness, you can also create a healing or a cure for yourself. That is 100% possible too. And I'm not a doctor and I'm not claiming any of that evidence in that way. What I'm saying is, if you're creating it, you can uncreate or heal or change your experience, whatever it is you're creating. You are 100% responsible for the creations in your reality, and you get to receive the beautiful gifts and lessons and all the things that you gift yourself by learning and growing. And that's a part of being 100% responsible for your life. That's a gift. right? Yeah, the great things are gifts and they're fun and they're awesome. You get to live into them. But the things that are the hardest, the things that hurt the most, the things that are the toughest to get through, when you're on the other side of that, those are the true gifts, right? Those are the gifts that last forever. Pass those lessons on, live for yourself, gain a new understanding of who you be on this planet and the blip that we're here for, and move on with all that gold in your heart to know, wow, the lessons I gave myself out of this were X, Y, and Z, right? We're creating as we go. And the evidence that you're collecting gets to be your decision. But if you don't know, listen, you get to give yourself grace. If you didn't know up until now that you are the uncontested author of your life, you are creating from the space of being who you be every morning you wake up and get out of bed, then guess what? You get to say, wow, I didn't know that. Now I do. I get to look at my life, see what things I am learning from and growing from, and make some shifts and changes, and see what I really want, and see the gap of where I'm standing to what I really want, or where I really want to go. Fill the gap with possibility. Who do I get to be in order to achieve that, or have that, or live that, or be that? Some people, maybe they want a relationship. Well, you can't sit at home in a pandemic and not talk to a soul and be sitting around dreaming about a relationship and being angry that you don't have one. How will you ever create from that space? You'll collect the evidence that you don't have one because you're sitting around angry about the fact that you don't have one. So keep collecting the evidence to prove yourself true. It is foolproof that occurs. And if you don't believe me, in fact, don't believe me, look at your life and add it all up. Look at your thoughts. Look at how you look at the world. Look at how you look at other people, and show yourself what you've created, how many pieces of evidence you have to support your belief systems, right? Everything, all the evidence you've collected support your belief systems. If you have yet to create something, you don't really have a belief system. Like if you say, let's use creating a business, for example. If you've never owned a business and you've never failed or succeeded at a business, you literally have no evidence of any of it. So when you're declaring a business, you're declaring from the space of no evidence that you want something. And now you get to play in your space of your imagination, your creativity. Imagine what type of business you want and what it feels like to be in your business and be successful. Then look at where you're standing now, assess the gap, and fill it, right? It's not, oh, I'll never get that because it's so far away and I just can't imagine it happening. Well, you will 100% create the evidence of that, which is never happening. And or see the gap and go, geez, I wonder what's in the gap here for me, because I know that I don't have a business yet. I want to create $1 million business. Who do I get to be? Like, what are my ways of being? And what's in the gap for me? So maybe I get to decide what the business is, or maybe it's a product. I want to sell a product. Do I even know all the ways that this product is required and how I can serve and support by educating people about this product? And then how do I get this product in my hand, and how do I get it to an audience to make money? Right. And there's a lot of things in between that you get to learn about all that stuff. Who do I need? Do I need, a lawyer or whatever the case may be? You get to serve yourself in allowing the gap to show you what's required for you to have what you want. And that's by being open, not from being in a space of, well, I'll never have that because I don't see how to get there. Because then you're going to create the evidence of never getting there, right? Because you're declaring that out loud. You get to be in the space of possibility. Playing 100% full out is being open to your possibilities and being willing to fall down. Right? Willing to fall down, so you skin your knee, get back up, and it heals. Right? So the next aspect of that, we'll go through a couple more. We're going to walk into our last break, but we have a few more things to go through on how to play full out. And my intention was to give you a bunch of ways that you can see how you're playing now and realize, like, maybe you're playing at 99%. So we're going to talk into the last few minutes into the 99% possibility and what that looks like. So let's go into a break, Jen, and let's see what's possible on the other side.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the Crossroads to Awakening. This is the Crossroads to Awakening show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Now back to the program.
Okay, so now we're going to look at, a few more ways that we can create in our lives at 100%. But what I would really love to speak into is 99%. Now, I know in school, if I were to get a 99% or 98, I think it's easier to get a 98 than a 99 based on numbers. I was excited. I mean, I would be truly excited. If you got a 98, you'd be like, yes, yes, yes. And what kind of parent would say, well, it's not 100. But let me tell you something. That space is a different space than when you're playing full out with yourself and being 100% playing your life on purpose. 99%, there is a significant difference, because I look at 100% being, I'm going everywhere, anywhere possible, committed out of my mind to have what I want and go everywhere, whether I'm actually willing to fall down, but whether I'm willing to see things from a different perspective or not, whatever it looks like, I'm going there. That's 100%, right? Going all the places that you never thought possible and being open to seeing the spaces that you never seen before, even if they're ugly and yucky and scratchy and itchy. You get to look at them anyway, because how are you going to put the salve on it that makes them feel better if you're not willing to look at what's not working, right? And what's yucky. So from that space, 99% is the getting to all the tough stuff, the hard stuff, and going, you know what? I killed it. I got 99%. I'm all done. And calling it a day, because you're calling 99% like, you know what? I nailed it. Or and leaving a few things on the table, I would say. Or being 100% full out, you know what? There's a difference from being 99 to 100. What is the 1%? Now, if you can imagine, you probably heard a lot of people speak into, there's a 1% there's a 1% on the planet of people that are, maybe they're generating a particular amount of money, or I know there's programs that speak into the 1%. You want to be part of the 1% of the population that wins at their own life. Do you think that they play at 99%? Just about there? Just about at 100? Or do you think they play friggin' full out at 100% all the time? Right? Willing to fall down, scrape their knees, get back up, and let people see them in the space of messy. And still winning. That's a true human who's willing to fall down in front of others, showing that they're human and that mistakes cause possibilities, right? And close gaps and gets cleaned up because it shows where we can go next. Or are they going to be at 99% and go, well, you know what? I'm almost all the way there, but what it looks like right now is really, really good. And so I'm going to stop, right? I don't know what that could look like moving forward, but if you're in a boat, and you may have heard this, I'm sure, before, if you're in a boat and you're setting your destination GPS out into the middle of the sea because you're going to pick up your $1 million or your possibilities, or maybe it's a relationship you're after, you're going to go collect it because you've got all the destinations put together and you've got all the calculations done with all your numbers, and you plug those numbers in. Right? You're 100%, you plug all the numbers in, and just plug the numbers into the GPS, set the GPS, and next thing you know, you're there and you're collecting all the things that you've declared, meaning your $1 million business, or that beautiful relationship that you're after, or the beautiful family that you wanted to create, or whatever those targets are. At 100%, you are getting there no matter what. All the numbers, you've collected so far of adding up, all you get to do is put them into the GPS and you are there, right? At 99%, you've collected most of the evidence. You've collected most of the possibilities. You still have the vision, the dream, and it's out there and it's waiting for you to plug all the numbers, and you plug all the numbers in, but you've got one that's missing, but that's okay. You're at 99%, right? You're there. You've nailed it. You've actually got better than most of the people on the planet. You're not quite at 100%, but you know what? 99 is good enough for you, and you're going to stop there. So you're going to plug all the numbers in, and you are one number off from 100%. You're at 99. You plug all the numbers in. You set the GPS. You know you're going to get there because 1% is not really that big a deal. And you set sail, both of you, say, let's say you at 100% and you at 99, and you set sail from the 100% to the target and the 99% to the target. And what happens when you are a million miles out to that 1% difference, that 1 degree difference? Where do you end up? Let me tell you, the further out your target was, the further away you'll be, right? 1 degree is huge when you're going a distance. 1 degree is huge, but 100% is bang on. No matter how far it is, it's bang on. So my invitation to you is play at 100%. 99%, yes, is great. And it's great if you're a student in school because you're nailing it anyway. And if you want 100%, you know what to do. Whatever that is to fill the gap between 99 and 100. And you're in charge of what that looks like. You're in ownership of your life and what you create. And if you want to play 100% full out, play it. Be willing to get scraped up, bruised, slide into home plate, bloody and bruised, but win at your life in love and possibility and joy, or choose a 99%. And maybe get in there, but maybe, be tapped on the back. Right? If we're talking baseball, slide into home plate and be tapped on the back at the exact same time and just barely make it and feel, okay about it. Or maybe you feel good. I don't know. I'm not you. I don't have to live your life. But what I know for certain is that when you get into the space of playing 100% full out, the space of impossibility no longer exists because you're the creator of that. You're the creator of all your possibilities. And playing 100% full out is your choice. And you get to own it. You get to own the results of that. You get to play with other people who play 100% full out, and you'll find a difference between those who play 99 and those who play 100. I know who I get to play with. Who do you get to play with? Who's in your world that's going to play full out with you and not let you give up at that last 1%? Right? Or who is in your world that you know damn well that you're not going to let them end at 99%? They get to have the 100%, right? They get to have the beautiful business or the beautiful family, right? With children and all the things, or not. It just depends on what that 1 degree difference is. And you'll never know, because what you're declaring is something that you want out of your dreams and possibilities that creates joy and let's say above neutral, all the things above neutral when you're coming to experience of emotions, but joy and peace and possibility and love at 100%. Do you really want to know what 99% feels and looks like? I don't know. Only you can answer that question. I know what I feel. I'm 100% all the way. And that's what it gets to be for me. So the invitation is for you to play 100% full out in your life. And there's all kinds of ways that you can see the gaps. Some of them I found in leadership centers create that possibility for you with a team of people who are willing to play full out as well. Or maybe there's a few that want to play 99% and you'll begin to notice them because you're in a space where we're all playing the same game. It's called life. We're all here together. All of us on the same hurling stone through the multiverse called Earth, right? Feet on the ground, walking towards the end of our life, because ultimately we all get there. How we get there, what it looks like, what we experienced is up to us. We are the uncontested authors of our lives. So my invitation to you is play full out. And if you want to know what that looks like for you and you want to play full out with me or anyone else, then hop onto my website, wendypaquette.com. Come find me. Send me a message. Find a way to get a hold of me. I will play out full out 100% with you, and I will support you and hold you high just the same. So I can't wait to see you on the next show, but thank you for playing with me today. Thanks for playing full out and being here the entire time and getting to the very end of what this show has to offer. My intention was to support you in some way. See you next time. Woo, awesome.
Thank you for choosing to listen to the Crossroads to Awakening radio show. Wendy Paquette will return next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We look forward to you joining us again. Until then, enjoy your journey and we'll meet you at the crossroads.